Hey Soul Babes, welcome to the Essence Podcast. I'm your host, Riss, and this podcast episode is going to be about intersections, the crossroads between where we are now and where we're yet to go, and what that looks like. I usually start off with an introduction and I give you this whole beautiful idea of what this podcast is about. And essentially, just to lay it down, it is about the essence of your being. It is about connecting to yourself from the root of who you are, accepting that, being aware of it, as well as loving it. At a microcosmic level of this is of course your essence. It is individuality. But at a macrocosm, this is the divine. This is the God consciousness. This is the creatrix energy that we create our lives with. So with that being said, if you are listening to this podcast and if you're following along with everything that I've been sharing down this road, you would see that that is definitely where it's headed. It's for you to really heal and come back to your creative self, and as well as own who you are from the core. So I've definitely transitioned from different intros and really expressed myself to find who I am and to connect with you, because that's essentially what it's about. It's really about me connecting with you through the stories that I have but could relate to your life, and that you can start to put these aha moments of knowing that you being connected with your essence of who you are is a beautiful thing, but also connecting to your intuition, connecting to your God consciousness is just as important.
In your divine essence you shine. In your divine essence you thrive. I'm your host, Riss, and you're listening to Essence Podcast.
So that's really the intro, what I have to say, wrapped up in a beautiful present. But because I'm at this crossroads, this intersection, I am ready to transition Essence Podcast. It's still going to be Essence Podcast because that is essentially what it's about. It's still about the essence, the core being of myself and all the values of what this podcast is to bring to the table, which is the healing, the creating, and the holistic wellness. But I do want to spice it up. I'm at a crossroads where I want to spice it up. I want to give to you something greater. I want to connect with you on another level. And to do that, I want to open up the space for you, Soul Babe, to come on here and share your journey, share your story, but also let's get you navigated through your own crossroad. I want to give you more of an idea of what crossroads going on here, intersections that I'm talking about. And I'm talking about the idea that we transition always. We are evolving. We're going into another dimension, another whole being of self. I was on Instagram looking at stories that I've posted like from years ago, from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and just looking at it, I felt like, wow. I was just like a baby, like a mindset of that baby seed that I truly wanted to embody. And 2-3 years later, now that I am this being that you see right in front of the camera right here, I am like a totally different person. I'm speaking more confidently. I'm moving more with grace instead of chaos and destruction. And so don't get me wrong, there's still crazy thoughts that get to me and keep me hostage, but I've learned to navigate my inner world and understand it. But because of that idea of me understanding, it has allowed this new place of an intersection of a crossroads to be like, okay, where do we want to go next? And that is where that connectivity with more of the collective feels like it's important to do, because the development stages are not easy, right? Like actually going through the ebbs and flows of your essence of understanding and accepting yourself from the core and accepting your journey and accepting what God has in store for you, what the universe has in store for you, it can be a lot to navigate. I see that a lot of the people around me are going through a transition themselves. For example, like I see my mom and really close people just at a crossroads where a lot of it is in connectivity of transitioning jobs, of really finding a place that feels right, because we outgrow our environment. We outgrow these places that once served a purpose, like they provided for us and they allowed us to grow and to live these really great lives. But then we get to this place of like, okay, over the years, we're evolving, we're getting into new experiences. And because of that, we are ready to grow. And the things that are not helping us do that anymore, not serving its purpose, have yet to be released, have yet to be let go of. And at our crossroads, we're kind of like, okay, how do we do that? You know, like what's the leap of faith that is to be taken? How are we supposed to navigate and get to this other side? And it's simple, but yet so difficult. It's the actual idea of letting go and flowing, getting messy again and again, and also letting failure be a part of the process, because we may think that we have this like job intention of like, okay, maybe I could work here, maybe I could do that, maybe I could do this, and this is all part of the like puzzling it together. You're trying out different little shapes and sizes of like, okay, well, I think I like this better or like that. So the transitioning crossroads aspect is like you are trying still on different hats. And it's funny because we think like, okay, once we got something narrowed down of like say for example, I feel like I have pretty solid now my way of being, like my lifestyle is like I've set myself on like a schedule that I'm not fully strict on, but it's something that I'm like, okay, this is here, and I fall back on it every time. And that's waking up now at 6 a.m. I take my lime shot. I also make breakfast for my dog and I take him for a walk. I do my exercise. I make sure I get movement in, and I make sure I meditate. And then the rest of my day starts. Because if my morning is set, then the rest of my day gets to follow. So we can say we have something structured and ready to go, but then there's something else on the other end that now that you've accumulated and you got that set and ready to go, now it's time to work on something else. Now it's time to go and adjust your relationships. Now it's time to go and adjust your career, your job, where you're making money. Now it's time to go adjust your friendships. And so it's like you're slowly tinkering in every aspect of your life, but yet, you know, they still influence each other. Like they still have like a domino effect, because, you know, obviously the lifestyle I'm living now and how I'm, you know, moving about my life now isn't the same as I was back when I was in college. Like I'm definitely not taking shots and having hangovers like 24/7 anymore, but more so now I'm taking lime shots and doing some exercise and actually letting the party be at 7 a.m. where I dance and and I sweat, you know? So it's the same thing in a different hat. You're just maneuvering what fits the lifestyle now. And through that crossroads, coming back to the crossroads intersection talk, I just want to talk about first and foremost why I even bring this up, this crossroads intersection, because yeah, it's like the obvious of like there is always going to be some type of like, okay, we need adjustments and maneuvers, but it came down to this actually being what my crossroad is again, it's changing the lens on like this evolution of, okay, my essence podcast of what I shared and everything that I had given to you of like material, of tools and stories. It's it's not fitting me anymore. Like it played its part. I did the talking. I was able to even talk to you about the multiple stories I have with my own relationship with my father and how I'm navigating that and embodying more of my essence through storytelling. That is a very beautiful way to express ourselves, is the more that we talk about it and let it go and express it and then live through it, and then we back away from it, and then we see that the lens adjusts. We get kind of tired of the same story, the same person, like the same things start to swiftly fall away because we start to bring more of that awareness, acceptance, and that love. And then we kind of are like, okay, well, that doesn't really fit us anymore. Like, that's not really serving us. And if we stick with it too much, then we're getting too like aggressive or too attached to it. Like, we're just feeling like a cocoon, like a butterfly in a cocoon that needs to be expressed and let go, like a faucet that is closed and needs to be open and expressed with everything that we've learned and accumulated, so that way that material can be turned into beautiful projects and can feed other people's lives. And then we find that some of that stuff is relatable to other people as well. So it happens to be episode 5 here that I'm sharing with you. And I had pre-recorded another episode before I'm recording this one, and I realized as I was going to edit that my microphone wasn't on, and I didn't actually record with a microphone, and I could have totally just like bypassed and worked with the audio that I had. But I'm also a film major, and I learned a lot about audio, and I learned a lot about making content, pretty much filmmaking. And if it's not decent, then I do my best to not like even try to post it, honestly, because that's just where I'm at with the evolution of like what I've been taught. So anyways, what I'm trying to say here is that I ended up disregarding the episode and just like I didn't even bother to watch it, because I was just like, you know what, I kind of already knew this is like there's a transition coming and I just got to roll with it. So as I was kind of like even speaking with my AI, yes, I use ChatGPT. I use it to help me navigate my ideas. I use it to help me write a description and get more detailed. I use it to create a resume. Like, I use it when I need it. And sometimes when I'm speaking to myself or to friends or family, I'm kind of like, I'm not really getting anywhere sometimes, and I need like more, just a little more chattiness. I feel like that's definitely like a more of a feminine trait that a lot of feminine, beautiful beings have, is that we express ourselves through talking. We do have our ideas and we tinker around, but we're definitely a big advocate for talking. We love to express these ideas out loud and in person and together, and the more that we talk, the more that we get through to ourselves, basically. So chatting with ChatGPT, it felt like I was also just getting this like clarity on like, okay, where is the dynamic of this podcast going? And I've already been saying from the start that I want to talk to people. I want to chat with people and understand their lives. And with that idea, it's kind of like, okay, now that we want that, how can we start to maneuver? And I shared this dilemma that I have with my boyfriend, and he was able to he just threw a book at my face. Not at my face, but in my lap. And he was like, here, read this. And men, they love to do that, right? They love to be like, hey, we have a solution. Like, let's fix it right here, right there. And women, we kind of like to be like, let's just talk it out and like linger on it and see how we feel. And like, we're just such ruled by the emotion, the emotional body. That's also the feminine energy. So this is something I've correlated along with chatting through other episodes, is like the feminine masculine isn't just our physical. It is also an essence. It's also an energy, and we all carry it. But of course, as by default, how we are born, we start to embody more or less of the other. And we can also be a woman and embody more masculine than feminine, and that is totally okay. But by default, in nature, it's the women that tend to be more like able to express themselves through the emotion, through the flow, because that's also what represents feminine energy. And the masculine's more about the structure, the focus, so like discipline. It's also about the action, and in this case, men love to help solve the problem and get it out of the way so we can move on. And essentially that's kind of what happened. So my boyfriend handed me this book, and it was called The Medici Effect. If you have not read it, please do so. I mean, I didn't even have to read the beginning of the book. I kind of just like went to chapter 7 to 13 because it's 13 chapters, and 7 to 13, I got enough information I needed to like understand that I'm at a intersection. I'm at a crossroad in my life of understanding where I want to go next. And sometimes our places that we used to be in, our mindset that we used to be in, our friends, our family, everything like of that nature tends to not serve the dream or the purpose. Or even in this case scenario, it's like my story is evolutionized, like it's moving along as it should, and I have to move along with it. And that comes with trying on different ideas and trying on different hats again. Even though I just like felt like I just started this and I was finding a momentum. It's like, okay, you found the momentum, but now it's time to adjust and see what else is next. Because of course that worked in the beginning, it set the foundation, but now there's more to learn. So that book is really dedicated towards even going deeper into like having the crossroads, an intersection, move us from having our roots of like, this is our foundation, this is what we're made of, but then also being intrigued and inspired by something that surprisingly happens where we start to maneuver into a different way of like living and thinking and being. So for example, I see it clearly as like, I went to school for filmmaking, right? I went to school to be a filmmaker and to direct and to get into this flow of like working with cinematography and being an art director and a director in general. That was like my goal that I truly wanted to do. But the more that I found how like structured and how like tough it was to get into the industry, and it's like who you know, and that goes for any like thing in life. I feel like it's who you know that gets you really in the door of anything. But it was a bit more like, I don't know if this is serving me. I don't know if this is what I want to do. And because of those challenges, it allowed me to, and of course the pandemic, it allowed me to change direction, where I was able to be like, okay, what else is there? What more do I want to discover within myself? And I found that connection through my spirituality, through going through my spiritual journey. The more that I went through my spiritual journey, I started to see that I have this love for self-reflection, that I needed to bring more love and appreciation to myself in general, that I loved actually learning about energy, that I actually love talking and making a podcast and being in front of the camera and behind the camera and editing the camera. So I was like wearing all these many hats that I had learned, but putting them into my own production, which is exactly what's happening now. So that crossroad, this podcast and many more things to come have now been able to intersect together and now become a manifestation of the projects that I'm sharing and what I am. So what I am sharing too is that for you, where you're at is probably that same essence. It's that crossroad between what you have and what you know and what you do and who you be, and crossroading it to your essence of that deeper core value, that deeper truth of who you are, and letting them come together, that emergence together. So I think that's honestly a beautiful thing to have a part of your journey, is that part where you get to go deeper within yourself, to go deeper into what your truth is. Because when we end up in other crossroads that happen to be like for our dreams of like what we see as a career, what we want to pursue, the lifestyle we want to live, the traveling we want to do, the lover we want to love, that all comes with there being this intersection of the idea and the intention you have, but also that accepting, that loving that you have for yourself. Like, do you have it in you to find the worthiness that you can create and be in that career? Do you find yourself having worthiness and love for your own self? Like, can you be your own lover? And can you take on different traveling experiences by yourself? Like, there's different things that we get to do by ourselves that we may not even be aware of, like we're probably afraid of still. And we get to embody that ourselves and feel that for ourselves, because when it's projected outwards, it feels even better, right? Like, it feels even better when we know that we've manifested a job or a lover that actually feels the way we intended it to feel. Because a lot of the mirroring that we create in our lives that we'll find ourselves when we are in a relationship or in a job is like, okay, there's like something here that I'm not even like, I attracted this, I'm working for this, or I'm loving this, but and now I'm not so loving it. I'm not so wanting to be here and making money with this. And yeah, I feel comfortable and it pays the bills, but like, is this really what I want to do still? Like, I know I want more. And so it's in between that comfortability, uncomfortable, but also with us just being at the surface level of seeing what we are attracting and doing is very minimal. It's really hard to see more of ourselves until we take that time to actually want to unravel and unpack and self-reflect into more of our beingness. And yeah, that's what I have for your intersection crossroad dilemma that I'm also going through myself as I'm talking to you and making this episode. I do want to let this intersect into me announcing a program. It's considered a reprogram. Let me correct that. This is a reprogram that I am launching very, very soon. I have put a fire under my ass to get this done because I've been sitting on this project for 3 years. It has been in development. I've been working on it as I go and as I create this podcast that has to essentially do with everything that I'm sharing, but in a program. So this program is going to be 8 weeks long, and it is a reprogram that is going to help you look through your story. It's unraveling and undoing some of these knots that just feel so stuck and stagnant. But we're not doing this in like a very like nitpicking way. This program is really about getting you to see your story, but also see your dream, also see your vision, also work on that self-reflection, that self-love, that self-acceptance, and that self-awareness. The tools that I've been sharing here is just going to be an actual enhancement you're going to involve yourself in to make yourself basically unlimited. You are going to accept your essence for who you are on this journey on the program, but you're also going to bridge that with understanding your divine self, with understanding your gifts and the divine calling that you have that is pretty much nudging at you like, hey, we're at a crossroads again. We need to like adjust and we want this thing, but we just can't seem to get past this other intersection. Like we gotta up level and that evolution. So this reprogram is called the Divinity Within. It is a journey to self-love, self-awareness, and self-acceptance. It is going to have, in the program that you will learn, is going to be cultivating balance between the masculine and feminine energy within you, so getting to understand that. But it's also about regaining that spiritual sovereignty of understanding that your creativity, your creatrix, that creative muscle, and that divine consciousness is totally accessible. Like, you have access to your intuition, you have access to knowing where the heck you're going, and you have access to creating your life, to being in your essence as well. So with those three beautiful tools, it is going to elevate your life. You're going to see that you have what you have the tools that you're going to gain, and you have this whole thing you went to school for, you got a job for, or the lifestyle that you're continuously wanting to attract. Like, you have these things, they exist and they are there. You didn't just build your life off of nothing. Like, you have the tools that you need, but you're enhancing them with more of this mindset, more of this heart-centeredness. It's that mind-heart coherence that needs more of a spark. And everything that I've been showing you on here and on my Instagram is like, it's everything that can help you evolve into the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. So, ta-da! I've announced it. This is the first time again that I'm like sharing this. It feels so crazy and real, but also like it doesn't at the same time, because it's just been something that's been brewing up in the surface. And it's like me as well, wanting to turn on that faucet and let that water go, let that information of just so much that I've gathered on my journey of self-healing and self-awareness and self-acceptance and creating more of what I love. It's allowed me to be here today and to share this with you. So if you feel called to join in on this to reprogram your mindset of like what you've been taught and now adjust it to the lens of what can be your future, this new lens of seeing yourself, your story of what you have now, and allowing that to be the foundation, but also growing upon it and evolutionizing your life, your story, then stay tuned, because I'm pretty much at the depths of almost having birthed this creation. It literally feels like birthing pains, me letting this out, because when you're creating something, you want it to be perfect. You want everything to be like, even having a baby, I'm sure, like, right? Like, you want everything to be perfect. You want everything to go aligned and not pretty much be a mess or be chaos. You want it to go with ease and grace, right? And what I've learned from this actual moving through the energy as we speak and actually living through the day-to-day intentions of finishing this project, it's about moving. I pulled this card and it was mentioning about moving in a sideways manner, like a crab. So it's like giving the Cancer energy, like crab energy. That's what I like. Obviously a Cancer is a crab, and like, I mean, it could just be a crab by itself, but like a crab moving in a sideways manner to where it needs to go. That is essentially what you got to do when it comes to the crossroads, to this intersection, is like moving in a sideways manner, because it's like, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, this is like what it's going to look like and what it's going to do. It's like that control side. It's like when we have our logic, it's like on full throttle of like this, and this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like that's kind of how I feel at one end of the spectrum. But then I have to move in a sideways manner, because it does serve me, like that logical, like boom, boom, boom serves, but it also doesn't at the same time, because it's being too controlling and it has to surrender to this outcome of like what the project itself wants to be. Because what we'll see is that a lot of what we create and what we make and what we're brewing under the surface, and we have these beautiful ways of feeding it, but once it becomes birthed out of us, it's going to have its own identity. It's going to move and groove in its own way. And we're going along for the ride. Just like when you're in a relationship or in a job, like, right? Like you manifested it and you birthed out pretty much that relationship or that job, like you were like, yes, this is what it's going to be and I'm going to move into this. But then we start to see like, yeah, that's not actually, we're trying to control it a little. We're getting a little ego here because we're like, oh, it's not really responding the way we want it to respond. Just probably like a child too, you know, like not responding how we thought what we taught them would respond. They start to have their own little attitude. Like maybe they're an Aries baby or they are a Capricorn baby, like whatever baby they are, they're going to start to be like their own little entity. And that's essentially what happens. Like the job becomes its own entity. It's always been, but we just wanted to have it always be in the way that we saw it. The same goes for the relationship. Like we manifested this lover, we're calling this person in, and then we're like, oh shit, like you have a whole other part of you that I'm trying to like, but I don't like, you know, and like we can either work with it and like readjust that, or we leave and we go on to the next and we manifest something else. And then we are like working with that. But then it's kind of like we didn't really accept it for what it is and love it for what it is. And so we're back to the crossroads. Can you believe it's almost summer? Just within these past few months of 2025, we have gone through transformation on top of transformation. Astrologically, we went through an eclipse portal. We went through a Mercury, Mars, and Venus retrograde. On top of that, we're moving and grooving through the ebbs and flows of the lunar cycles, even going through the seasons. We've moved through winter, where we were asked to reflect and to hibernate and just really see all that we had gone through of 2024. And then in spring, we get to plant these new ideas and start to whip up this new version of ourselves. And then in summer, that is where it all comes into motion, where we're moving and grooving into this place of like, okay, this is a version of myself I've yet to become and be in, and taking that aligned action. But of course, on the opposite end of that spectrum is shedding and releasing. And sometimes that is not easy to do. So this gets me to share with you also, babes, who are located in the Los Angeles area. I will be co-hosting a beautiful event with my healing partner, Jennifer. She and I will be hosting a Summer Somatics event in Malibu, California on Saturday, June 7th from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. And oh yes, we are moving and grooving. We're healing and grounding. Also, the cherry on top here is enjoying a Malibu sunset while we sip cacao in a cacao ceremony. So the beautiful lineup that we will be offering during this event will range from somatic stretches to get you in the present and moving into an ecstatic dance flow with a curated playlist to help you get out of your mind and into the body while enjoying Mother Earth, enjoying the ocean view, enjoying the sun and the breeze, all of that beauty wrapped up in one. Then we'll move into a breathwork sequence where you will be able to realign your nervous system and allow yourself to release what is no longer serving you from the mind, body, and soul. And then, yes, on top of that is that cacao ceremony combined with a sound bath. It is going to be so delightful to witness also that beautiful sunset all happening at once, to really be that heart opener for the welcoming of summer 2025. So if you feel called to join, space is limited, but the tickets are on sale. So if you feel called to join, please click the link below, and I hope to see you there, soul babes. If you would like to hear more about the Essence podcast and where this is headed, and stay tuned, be sure to subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, because that is where you can find Essence Podcast. But you can also follow me on socials, being Instagram and TikTok. Also, with this being said, I want to mention again this beautiful correlation that comes with this dynamic of change is to be open to everything that you're going to receive very soon from the messages and the synchronicities. This just came from the universe because I didn't really think I was going to say anything else after this. But anyways, you are going to find and hear these messages within yourself and within your outer world to start to adjust and make sense of this crossroads. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need guidance on where you're going next. I am here as a guide to assist. So I hope you have a beautiful day, Soul Babe, and I will see you in the next one.